Good trucks, everyone.
Today, we're doing the opposite of what we were doing last time.
That's true.
We're driving from Nevada to California. We've got some iron pipes. It kind of starts to feel like there are exactly two things we can do in this game. We can go one way, and we can go the other way.
I kind of miss Europe.
Kinda. But this is pretty, isn't it? Like, look how great it looks.
It is pretty, but like the engine sound and the two states.
You don't need to worry about the engine sound.
I kind of do. It's fucking with my vibe a little bit.
I can just turn it down more.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, we're also doing the opposite of what we did last time, in that last time we spent a lot of time thinking about what we were going to talk about beforehand.
I can't remember what we talked about. Oh yeah, the witness.
Yeah. This time we're both kind of concussed and just ready to hit the road and reflect on manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter.
She didn't even notice.
No. So death just comes to you sometimes, just all unbeknownst, like.
A lazy trucker. I would never have been able to penetrate those little boundaries, those little bike stands.
That's true, you're not big enough.
How's it going, guys?
What's
Today's
going on?
Today's news.
Yeah, what's today's news?
I am aware of two pieces of news today.
Oh, talk about them, please.
Neither is important. Well, one of them was kind of exciting. David O'Reilly announced his new game.
Oh.
You know, you remember David O'Reilly, he made Mountain.
Yeah.
His new game is called Everything.
That's ambitious.
In Mountain.
Is it going to be like Mountain?
It's hard to tell. The trailer is similar in a way.
All right.
In Mountain, you played as a mountain. In Everything, you play as everything.
Do you really?
Yeah, the idea is that it's this big world. The trailer makes it look like it extends from the microbial to the intergalactic level. And every object in this world is playable. You get to play as whatever you want.
A toaster.
Probably.
A sun.
I have seen no evidence of appliances, but the sun certainly.
A microphage. A wildebeest.
A little bunny. A rock.
It seems like it's a great idea, but the execution seems somewhat fraught. I mean,
well,
if I were to trust anybody with this game, it would be David O'Reilly.
Exactly. Is that a fucking hot air balloon? It's not visible that way, but you can see it in the mirror there. See it?
Yeah.
Let me turn around.
That's definitely a hot air balloon.
What the fuck?
Oh, it's a good tidings for our... Look at that dude's pipes.
They're much bigger
They're
than
much
ours.
bigger than our pipes. I feel like we should do something about that.
That guy has like a completely different system of pipes. Fuck.
Oof.
And look, there's some pipes too.
Those are good pipes.
I guess Winnemucca is just where the pipes come from.
Yeah. So okay, that was one piece of news. What's the other news?
The other piece of news is that The Division came out today. The new Ubisoft game.
Surely nobody cares.
A lot of people care. Here's the cool thing about The Division.
Okay.
It has you can't move through other players, even though it's an MMO. So people are literally waiting in line to talk to certain NPCs. And like the players are enforcing the line.
What an innovation. Non-permeability.
Yes. Well, you know, it's always been a little bit absurd that you see everybody in this, like, in these destitute MMO universes talking to the same goddamn NPC for the same goddamn reason, and now people are literally waiting in line to do it. I think that there's a certain value to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a clever thing in a AAA game.
Yes.
Is that clever. The most interesting thing about this
Super
game?
Clever, highly intentional thing.
Is collision on player bodies?
That is probably the most interesting part of this game, yes.
Oh, wow.
Other than that, you know,
That's a funny joke. I like that.
It's about New York City after some kind of biological attack. Super smallpox or whatever.
Cool.
And so, naturally, you, the player character, representing a government body, you know, whatever remains of a government body, need to go out and shoot all the people wearing the hoodies.
Our culture is so fucked right now.
To be fair, the French made this.
I know they did, but for an American audience.
Yes.
Ubisoft. You find new and interesting ways to disappoint me at all times. But that's fine. That's fine.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that all the enemies are wearing hoodies. It's a real thing. They need the enemies to be, you know, identifiable.
Visually distinguishable from The good plague victims.
Some of these hoodie-wearing enemies can soak up multiple magazines of ammunition. Because it's an MMO.
Because of smallpox.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You know, it's super smallpox.
They are super predators, as has been in the news lately.
Oh God, that was bleak.
Yeah,
that was really bleak way to start out. And look at this beautiful countryside that we're driving through. I don't want to think about the woes of the world.
You just want to think about the open road.
I don't want to think about politics. Yeah, I do want to think about the open world.
This 2-lane road that we're driving down.
My big news is that I have a 9-to-5 job again. Yeah. Like, it's actually an 8:30 to 6 job, and it actually requires me to be in a place. So for the first time in a very long time, I'm actually going to work, clocking in, not doing much. I mean, that part hasn't changed, but, you know, clocking out for lunch, clocking back in. And this is taking up the majority of my life.
You just work weekdays, right?
Yeah, I just work weekdays. It's not actually the majority of my life,
right.
But it's an extraordinary change in my expectations for myself.
Yeah.
And it's filling me with a kind of worry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, capitalism's got me down.
Yeah, you're like the kid from the Steven Universe episode, riding the little rocky horse and saying that the job doesn't give back what it takes away, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I'm having to adjust both my expectations and my personality to this new reality. Mm-hmm. Just like when I worked in an office job, I sort of thought in office job terms in certain ways that weren't visible to me. Mm-hmm. At this point, I have to view myself as being just an inconsequential part of a large machine that does things that have no discernible purpose. Mm-hmm. I mean, which is pretty much congruent with how I think of myself at the best of times, sure. Which is kind of why I seek out jobs like this. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I had better watch out, or else I might suffer some sort of bad mental health problem.
Yeah,
that's kind of my thought right now. I mean, I know that's not very funny, but it's just like, you know, Josh, some people weren't meant to, you know, work or labor.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
Some of us were meant to just be taken care of by the state.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's sort of the root of my political philosophy. It's why I'm a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And it's also, you know, very much my hope for my life. I think I would like the society to take care of the least of us, because I suspect that that is where my trajectory will ultimately take me. Mm-hmm. And so it's all enlightened self-interest.
At the moment, though, this job is certainly and clearly within your reach.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not having any trouble. I'm just worried that I'll go nuts. Mm-hmm. You know, being sort of being sort of casually worried that you'll lose your mind not a thing that most people experience?
No, I mean I definitely felt that in my last real job. My you know, the travel around and do press releases and the sort of thing job.
Yeah,
that was definitely. I mean, that drove me crazy rather quickly, actually.
It's a thing, you know, and it's like. Clearly people, you know, we're going to sound very entitled, I think, you know, because we are, you know, not living hand to mouth like most upright, decent people. But I would be if I wasn't doing this. So there's that. Mm. Oh, well.
If only the state guaranteed me the job, that would be perfect for me.
What's the job that would be perfect? Let's talk about our dream jobs, Josh.
Well, we've already established that what our real life
is trucking.
Yeah, trucking and doing a podcast.
Yeah, but like in terms of jobs that exist.
Yeah.
I mean, not that trucking doesn't exist, but like
trucking and doing a podcast.
Podcast trucker doesn't. I mean, that would be an innovation.
Make that exist.
Yeah,
I think if we just got off our asses, then we'd have a real way forward.
Is that our actual dream job? I just want to check in real quick. I mean, I thought that was a joke for the purposes of this.
Well, of course it was, but at the same time, it wouldn't be as funny a joke if there weren't a real appeal to it.
Do you want to buy a truck together, Josh? Is that what you're telling me? Do you want to drive across the country with me?
It's tricky when you start talking about making investments, right? And is it even really a thing that two people drive one truck?
Not usually. It's not.
Is that even permissible?
Of course it's permissible. The issue would be that you would have one truck's worth of income for two people.
Yes. No, see, I think the original idea was that we chatted on Skype or whatever.
Or CB.
Yes.
Or one of us has a truck and the other one is just sort of... We could be we could somehow always be going in the same direction and do our podcast over two-way radio.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, I mean that's sort of the problem.
Did you see that mountain just creep into existence?
Yeah.
That was gross. I must be able to fix it.
Ah, Christ. I mean, you don't necessarily need an income. You could just be along for the ride. You can be my truck buddy. But then I would have to drive.
I kind of do need an income.
Yeah, you kind of do. So that's the problem. Are there any ideal? I mean, you're becoming an editor, which is like a pretty good job.
Yeah, if I could get paid to do what I'm doing now, that would be.
And the last guy who had your job went on to do it for money.
Show me the map. Is this a fucking way station? Show me the fucking map.
Yes, of course it is. So like that may be an actual thing for you. I mean, I don't know how well he's being paid, but he's being paid.
I'm sorry, I missed what you just said. I was about the game giving me orders without giving me clear instructions.
That's a problem. I mean, future employers take note. He's worried if you don't give him clear instructions. This is not a man who works well independently.
If you give me seemingly urgent instructions without giving me a clear idea of how to perform them, then yes.
All right.
We're gonna have a small problem. But what the fuck?
I was saying
yourself. That would be boring.
I was just saying the last guy who had your job went on to do a job with money in the same field.
A real crackerjack job. Yeah, it's the last two people, in fact.
So this may be
for
a
those who
springboard.
don't know. I just became the managing editor of a website for free. It's kind of fun.
Can we always call it a website? I like that.
The website.
A website.
A website.
Website.
What other jobs?
Yeah. See, this is the problem. You know, it's like, my ideal job would be government functionary or FLAC. I think I've probably said this on this Trucks already. You know,
not to my memory.
I'd like to work in a post office. I would like to work for the IRS. I'd like to be a tax inspector.
I just had a frustrating post office experience today.
Yeah, I believe in the machinery of government, and I feel like the day-to-day, like the crush of boredom that is basically what I experienced at any day job, I would at least feel like it was poetically harmonious.
There was a certain nobility to it.
Exactly, like it was for the goal of civil society. It's like, because bureaucracy and government employment is supposed to be boring, and so I would feel that my position was correct. Mm-hmm. Whereas otherwise I feel as if there's some capacity that I'm lacking to entertain myself.
It's like the Jane McGonigal book. The reality is broken. We've got to have a bunch of fucking point systems in all of our jobs to engage us better.
We've got to game it.
Yeah.
We do. Oh well. My job will probably get better over time as I have more things to do. It's the idle time that really gets me.
There are many, including possibly myself, in many jobs that I've held, where the idle time is that which is to be treasured.
Yeah, I've found though that the actual work makes the time go faster.
Yeah, it's true.
It's possible that's because I've had a surfeit of idleness in my life for the past several years, and so
I suppose I've never been a person who's particularly minded being idle. Being idle is oftentimes what I do with myself. So if I'm doing it on the clock,
well, I mean,
who am I to complain?
The thing about it though is that it's not true idleness, because you're in the room with other people who might at any point ask you to do something.
Sure.
And you can't, take your pants off or do any of the other small things that add sweetness to leisure. Mm-hmm. I can't think of an example besides taking your pants off, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, take your shirt off.
Right, in that vein. Basically, you cannot achieve a state of relaxation which would allow you to move into sort of the meditative grace of...
Yeah. Are we in South America right now, by the way?
Are we in South America?
It kind of just looks like South America to me. That's the gist I'm getting from it. It's the vaguely red color scheme. This is how South America is often portrayed in film. We have the
red places in this country.
Yeah, I know.
Many of them are where you currently are in the game.
It's not a rational question that I'm asking. It's just that I don't have any familiarity with this general genre of landscape, practically.
I mean, we are in California. You can't have moved around a lot. And you're on fucking I-5, dude.
Yeah.
You must have driven up I-5 to Oregon at some point.
I don't think I ever have.
My God. You're a rare Californian in that case.
I visited Redding in Fallout 2.
That is... Oh, dear.
I've never been to Redding IRL.
And have you ever been to Oregon?
I don't think that I have.
You should come to me to my hometown sometime.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. The other problem with this job is that I can no longer plan extravagant trips because I have to be at a certain place for a lot of time.
There must be vacation time in
Yeah,
the
but
deal.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be. I got to wait 6 months for it to kick in. But yeah, no, it's not like Josh and I would. Oh dear.
My turning radius isn't what I had hoped.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Please, no one pull up onto the road behind me.
It's not that Josh and I would have driven across the country to Oregon together, doing a podcast while we went.
Well,
but
take nothing off the table.
Well, I mean, but the fact that it would be much more difficult to do it now adds to its retrospective savor.
Yeah,
that's the problem. I accomplished so little while I didn't have a job. The idleness was like goop.
You got a lot of followers on your Tumblr.
That's true. I did.
What else would you have?
I'm gonna lose them all now because I'm cranky after work and I'm having bad opinions about Andrew Hussey.
You're making fun of Vriska on the internet.
Oh,
it's a fucking classic pastime.
I know. It's like it's like playing ping pong with a brick wall. Anyway, these are my qualms. These are my worries.
I understand. I'm happy that you are working.
Yeah, it's better.
It's probably ultimately better for your mental health, despite your
I'm
concerns.
certainly savoring the hours between when I get home and when I go to sleep way more now.
Yeah.
You want to know what I did last night?
What'd you do last night?
I went to bed. I slept for a little while, and then I woke up because you were. This was like I heard you talking in the main room at like 6:30 in the morning. I don't know if that is actually a thing that happened or if I was hallucinating.
Monica had woken up and I was chatting with her.
So you guys woke me up.
Sorry.
Then I went back to bed, or then I went back to sleep, and I dreamed a very, one of those dreams where it's like there's no hint that you're dreaming. Like it is super real because your brain is working at 100%. I dreamt very distinctly that I had been fired from this job. And I came up with all sorts of contingencies, and like the actual firing happened in the dream. It was not pleasant, and so it was like all of my anxiety about like getting along with this new group of people and all of that stuff came out, and I was like, okay, well I could probably survive this, and I basically worked out my contingency plan and how I was going to do it, and then I woke up and I had to go to work. And I literally woke up and said, "Oh, come on!"
Why put me through that if it was all...
That was the first thing. I woke up and that is the first thing that came out of my mouth.
This has been a meaningless exercise, is what you were going through there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose in the end it was a sort of a reminder from the back of my head that it is an option to not do this if I want not to do this.
Yes.
And that I don't have to go crazy if I don't want to.
In truth, you prefer having the job to not having it.
N-Hool.
Yes. I think you could...
Still my favorite. I could be working for N-Hool.
Yeah, I was going to say you could be driving an N-Hool truck, but that's not how it works.
No, they don't pay it. I'd be giving out the N-Hool trucks.
Yeah. Probably looking at spreadsheets mostly.
Yeah, not really a job that would differ from the job that I currently have in any real way.
Slightly less amusing, maybe. There are some interesting products at your job. An N-Hool truck is not. I'm going to just be calling them N-Hool trucks from now on in the real
I hope
world.
So.
Tell them, are you allowed to tell us about the tape cassettes that you mentioned? I think those were sort of charming.
I mean, I have learned a couple of interesting things about how the world works as a result of this job, and one of which, because the job is mostly about getting terrible gym crack from China to the United States. But it's really interesting.
Gym crack, that's a term I've not heard. But I guess what you basically mean is merch of the most miscellaneous possible nature.
That is... I could not have put it better myself. It's so miscellaneous. It's incredibly miscellaneous. But the insight that this, even though I've only been there for like a few days at this point, the insight that I have gleaned is that we have this idea when we go into like a high-end store versus a mid-range store versus a low-end store, that the stuff in the boxes that is just sort of in the impulse buy area is going to be more or less quality and will have come from different places based on the quality of the store that you're entering.
Mm-hmm.
That is in no way true.
Right.
This stuff is all sourced through the same middlemen, and it all comes from like a dice roll of different factories.
Huh.
You know, it is a complete crapshoot as to whether you're.
I guess that's consistent with what I know about how iPhones are made and stuff.
Yeah, whether the object that you're doing is exactly the same object that is being sold at the Walmart, just with a slightly fancier package, or whether whether it's made in the same factory as the stuff that's made in the Walmart. It's just like has slightly nicer components or what have you.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing about this was I saw that like one of the things that we make are transparent electronics, which are sold to certain higher end outlets because they're cool, and to prisons because you can't have opaque anything in prisons that you could hide something in.
Maybe it is bad form for you to share this to the internet. You could potentially trash the market for high end luxury transparent electronics.
See, I wasn't really aware that
by giving up the game.
I don't think so.
Distributed
it's just
to prisoners, presumably using their prison bucks.
Yeah, prison bucks.
Their prison stipend. Well, everything I know about prison life, I know from Orange is the New Black. And my understanding is that they have a stipend that they can spend in the prison store.
The commissary.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the word. Yeah, when I'm sealing boxes at this job, there's a tape that I can't use because you're only legally allowed to use that to send things to prison commissaries.
A tape?
Yeah, like a packing tape to seal a box.
Why is this tape designated for prison commissaries?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Is there a specific marking on this tape?
Yeah. It looks different. But you're not allowed. It's special tape.
I guess maybe
for
postal
prisons.
Services know to treat it differently.
Or
seen the tape.
or exactly, or something. But anyway, no. I guess to avoid other people being able to smuggle in stuff into prisons using reused tape or something like that, you're only legally allowed to use it for the one purpose.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping to glean more interesting things, but it's a struggle with this one.
I'm fascinated by the infrastructure of miscellany.
Yeah, once again, it's just it's sort of the same idea. It's it's the sound of business being done. It's the way we're learning about the way the world works.
I should have stopped there.
Probably.
Fuck it.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And I love systems, and I love order, and I love the way that this kind of works, but I can't stand how completely unnecessary it is.
Yes.
It's really trying to some part of my brain.
So you want to do important work.
It's not that I don't even want to do important work. I want to do unglamorous work that is necessary. Which is like the post office, right?
Yeah.
People need to bring packages together, and like most of the people need to send mail for frivolous reasons, but some people need to send mail for important reasons.
Sure.
It's just part of the way society works. But it's like nobody is going to miss them if retailer X no longer stocks a particular kind of earbud.
Right.
That's
true.
Oh.
Well, I have missed particular types of earbuds in the past.
That's true, man. I was sad that when Radio Shack went under, they had a particular kind of cheap headphone that I presume is now, in fact, I found out later, is just sold from Amazon under like 3 different brands because it's all the same thing that's put into different packaging.
I bet you transparent tape player is the light of somebody's life. It's their favorite fucking thing.
I mean, it's a really hipstery object when you think about it, and it's like, it is such a hipstery object because it is so brutally necessary under very specific circumstances.
Yeah.
And so unnecessary under most.
This game's really good looking.
It is. Is it as fun to play as Euro Truck?
It's identical to play.
Well, sign me up. You've gotten over the whole gear ratios thing then? Yeah, look at those dynamically rendered cylindrical reflections in our exhaust pipe.
I'm mostly finding that I spend most of the game in the highest possible gear, to answer your question.
Getcha.
Which does somewhat reduce the appeal of the manual gear shift. But these are very boring. These are very boring complaints to have. Like, it's the details are slightly different, you know, that's what it is. I cannot call them better or worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is very soothing. Sort of in the vein of The Witness, actually, how, like, relentlessly colorful everything is.
I feel like we failed to get into the meat of The Witness. Did you feel that way?
There is no meat in The Witness.
Maybe that's the problem. But
Yeah.
I've definitely felt like I had more interesting thoughts about The Witness than what we expressed.
You thought it was too summary-based?
Maybe.
It's too summary. People did have asked me to say more things about professional wrestling.
Yes.
I just read a play about professional wrestling.
You just wrote it?
No, read it.
Oh, read.
Yeah. I mean, for better or for worse, people have already written plays about professional wrestling.
Yes.
Thankfully, it wasn't great. I mean, it was very entertaining, but it was not about wrestling as much as it was about being a poor Latino person.
Sure. Sounds fun.
You know, it was fine. It was
Yeah.
totally fine, but it is not what I'm interested in this milieu, in this regard. There was so much about wrestling that I didn't tell you. Did you know that Vince McMahon literally wrestled God at one point? You see, Shawn Michaels had come back to the World Wrestling Federation, a born-again Christian in real life, and he was the face, and Vince was the heel he was feuding with, and so Vince booked a tag team match. It was Vince and his son Shane, the product of my sperm, as he referred to Shane,
Oh, God.
and against...
The fruit of my loins is the term you're looking for there, I think.
He was definitely the product of my sperm, that he said.
No, I'm sure that's what he said. I'm not arguing with you there.
Yeah. I mean, well, the fruit of my loins is in no way...
Better,
it's
but
if
it's
anything,
at least...
just less specific, and we all like specificity.
It's codified by familiarity. That's all.
So in the run up to this match, Vince cut a vicious promo on God. He defied God in the middle of the ring.
Okay.
And in the match, God got his own entrance, and his own entrance music, and was represented as a single spotlight, heading slowly down to the ring.
Oh, so there wasn't an actor playing God.
No.
I see.
God was intangible.
That's very Muslim in nature.
Yeah, no, it was... When I say that there is room for art in wrestling...
How did the wrestling happen?
It was
Did
a handy...
he just
It was
perform
basically...
suplexes on
it was
the light?
It was as the plot point was. It was a handicap match.
I see.
Shane and Vince beating up on Shawn. God can't help you now, buddy.
Holy moly.
Holy moly.
I feel like you could tell me 1,000 stories about wrestling, and my reaction to all of them, an undiminishing reaction, like it will be the same every time, will be a small chuckle and a few clarifying details.
What about the time the boss man killed Al Snow's dog and fed the remains of the dog to Al Snow, and Al didn't know that was what he was eating?
Ahem. What kind of dog was it?
It was a Chihuahua named Pepper.
Aw, a shitty little dog.
It was a fine dog. The Big Boss Man was a very bad man during that period of time.
The Big Boss Man, is that the name of a wrestler, or is that Vince McMahon?
That was the name of a wrestler.
I see.
The Big Boss Man. He is sadly no longer with us. So many of them die. And so young.
I was going to say rest in peace, but it's too meme-ish at this point.
It's also the Undertaker's catchphrase, or was.
Not rest in pieces.
No, or R.I.P. in pepperoni.
I'm going to cough now.
That's good.
Oh no, there's a giant gross smudge on my screen. Luckily I have napkins right here.
You know, I realize that the standard of entertainment in this particular episode has not been, 100% top-notch, but did you really have to mention your smegma?
Well, I was going to wipe it, and I didn't feel like I was going to get away with wiping it. I don't think that's what smegma is. I don't think I was going to get away with wiping it without...
What is smegma, then?
I could explain what smegma is. I remember from sex ed.
Oh, yeah, I remember what smegma is. I meant phlegm. I definitely meant phlegm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Those
Click on
of you who know...
Click on your screen for let me Google it for you, link to smegma.
You must have had, those of you who know what that is must have had some very interesting pictures of what Josh was doing in order to get it on the screen. We live in... I was going to say that we live a deceptively interesting life here, but not entirely accurate. Yeah.
Shout outs to Ryan.
Yeah.
Who listens to Trucks and was recently in the apartment.
Yeah, that was a fun time. We exchanged pleasantries. I liked that dude.
Yeah,
and you know, I'm not a big liker of people.
I wasn't expecting you to like him, just because I don't expect you to like anyone.
Maybe that's my problem.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Someone's got to tell the truth about who's shitty.
Oh. I should die. Anyway.
No.
But anyway. I like Ryan.
I'm glad when you like a person, because
it's you know it's real.
Yeah,
you know it's real.
Here we are again, back on the California coast.
That's the other thing about being in a job. I have to pretend to like everyone for.
I'm sure you must at least sort of like some of them.
Oh yeah, I do. I don't dislike any of them.
Okay, or is that just you pretending?
No, I don't dislike any of them. I don't know them well enough.
Fair enough. To the point you were making earlier about the entertainment value of this episode being low.
You disagree?
I don't disagree.
Let's not descend into meta commentary in that case.
I will say that to those of you listening to this episode of Trucks,
we love you.
If you are in fact the kind of Trucks listener for whom this is the ideal kind of episode, you are my favorite.
Yeah, hug yourself, because we can't hug ourselves.
Yeah, my hands are. You can hug yourself.
I don't like myself enough.
Oh, we've been making Isaac feel bad.
No, it's okay. I misidentified a bodily fluid earlier.
You identified it as the grossest possible thing too.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, but we're driving down Highway 1, by the way, which is one of the most beautiful things to do.
Yeah, it's very short in this game, unfortunately. There's just so much of Highway 1 in the real world, and you can drive it and drive it and drive it.
That is true.
What was I going to say? Maybe the fact that both of us have more structure in our lives now than we did just a few months ago means that we can go back to posting Trucks on the semi-regular.
We could make it part of our routine, because we actually have a routine more now.
Say every Friday.
Wouldn't that?
Spitballing here.
I don't believe you, but wouldn't that be great if we did do it?
Yeah, maybe there's something. It's like a car deal.
We could definitely. I mean, if we're gonna pitch the Trucks at just about this effort level, we could definitely do that. Yeah. I like that. And it's like, you just have to keep trying. You never know when your ship will come in.
Yeah. When Trucks will finally take off.
It's like you never know. Like back when Dan joined Game Grumps, they only had 1 million subscribers, and now they have 3.
So what you're saying is, I need to replace you with Dan Avidan.
What a fucking blow that would be for Dan. What a personal tragedy that would be for Dan Avidan. He's so happy to be where he is right now. The last episode of Mario Maker Grumps was all about how he felt okay about his career for the first time in his life at the age of 37 or whatever it is.
How wonderful for Dan.
Yeah.
Hard.
It's hard to feel bad. I mean, it's hard not to feel good for a dude
who's just obviously making jokes about video games.
But he's
a nice guy.
Just a completely inoffensive character, really.
Yeah.
Which marks a significant change from his earlier days when he was literally an offensive character. But
oh wow, pulling onto a little side road here.
God, why do we want to drive anywhere? Look at those beautiful cactuses, those succulents, and then there's the beautiful Pacific Ocean there with the rocks. We're coming up on Oxnard, which is a beautiful place.
I don't think I've ever been to Oxnard.
Oxnard.
This game makes me feel like there isn't much of California that I've been to, because all the towns I've been to aren't in the game. There's no Monterey. There is Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz and San Francisco, obviously, and fucking what's it called? Birthplace of Anti-Con Records.
Oakland,
yes. Oakland. Those are the places I've been.
You literally live in the Bay Area and you can remember what Oakland was.
It was a mere brain fart. Forgive me. I know
and
Oakland.
You identified it as birthplace of Anticon Records.
I don't know why that's right. There's a fake heart on this building which is appearing and disappearing.
Oh, that's great. I don't
It's like it's clipping into the building. There's like a texture overlap there.
This is...
Or is it? Will it stop if I stop moving? No, that's meant to be some kind of... What is that? It's like I'm...
Disconcerting as hell is
I'm
what
in
that
video
is.
game land all of a sudden. Is this supposed to be like a neon light on a clinic? It looks like an apartment building. Ah, that's really confusing.
Whoa. I want an explanation.
Yeah.
Is that like...
There's a bunch of people hanging out there too.
Is this a new mechanic in the game?
I think so.
Is that like the gas overlay? That if your trucker gets too lonely, you have to pull in there and experience love?
Oh no. I don't. I mean, the answer is no, but it definitely looks like it would.
It really does.
The game doesn't represent anything that way, though.
It represents...
It's like from a different language.
You have your bed gauge and your gas gauge.
Yeah, but there's no like floating bed icon over the bed places, you know.
That's true. But there's a floating gas icon over the gas.
You know, maybe I've been to this beach now that I think about it.
That boardwalk looks awfully familiar, but boardwalks kind of look like boardwalks.
I know, but there's a lot of beaches I've been to without like necessarily being aware of what town I was in at the time, you know. And this game is telling me right now that Oxnard is a place you might visit if you want to go to a beach with a long boardwalk.
I do think that it's less likely that you haven't been to a lot of California, and more likely that you as a child did not pay any attention at all to where you were at any
It's probably
given moment.
a combination of both. I honestly do think I don't think I've ever been to the North Bay.
Never been to Oakland?
Oh, Oakland is in the North Bay?
I mean, it's in the East Bay.
None.
No, but you've never been like past the Golden Gate Bridge up to the...
I mean, I've been past it, but you know, only just as far as I can remember. If my mom or my dad is watching this, maybe they can write a comment and correct
Do your
me.
parents watch trucks?
No, they don't.
Of course they don't. They don't give a shit.
Hey now.
You're an all-star. And you're brutally honest about other people's failings.
That's not true.
No, I am.
Oh.
Let's see.
I would never be honest about your failings.
Would you be honest about my feelings? You missed your turn.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen... Okay, there's a police car. Let's make an illegal maneuver right now.
You're going to try to U-turn on this road.
Yep. Because I know how this game works, and I know it's going to be 100 miles before I get to another U-turn. There's another police car right behind me.
Get towed, bro.
Their sirens actually go off when you commit offenses.
Well, you just backed into them.
No, I just barely didn't. Okay, I'm going to have to use this bush. It'll be fine. There aren't any invisible walls. They've removed those.
Oh, good.
That's fine. I'm just climbing up the hill. It's fine. Everything's good. Let's take a look at how fine everything is. Yeah, it's perfect.
This is actually working, which is kind of astounding.
I've reached a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? I've reached a level of literacy with this game.
Ah, that's beautiful. Yeah, you did that without incurring any fines at all.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
I think I've been fined for speeding once in this, and I've bonked my truck, but not into other cars. So I think I'm doing okay. I might even get rated excellent.
Oh, that's good.
Let's go. Let's pull onto Edgar Road.
Yeah, no wonder you didn't think this was where you were going. One thing I am noticing about, I have noticed about American Truck Simulator.
Fuck.
One thing I have noticed about American Truck Simulator is that there is a much greater diversity of road widths.
It's true.
I have a hard time believing that a truck would necessarily expected to go up a one-lane residential street like this.
Yes, it's hard to believe that they would place a truck depot up here in like fancy house land.
Yeah,
but you know what? They've ditched the idea of realism a little bit here. They want us to tour America. They don't want us to tour the highways.
The highways, which is, for better or for worse, what a trucker generally does.
Yes.
I mean, it also is like you have to get off the highway and get into the city, but
sure.
Like, surely not like this.
Yeah.
Surely not. That's some like authentic Bay Area, like 1960s construction there, though.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is a high degree of difficulty. I'm on tenterhooks. I'm on the edge of my seat. I mean, I just meant like NorCal.
I'm gonna look at the map. Forgive me.
We're not in the Bay Area.
We're like in Southern California.
Oh dang. Past Santa Cruz.
I'm sorry, it's way too loud out here. Let me get back in the truck.
Thank you. What was I gonna say?
I don't know. This is kind of arrestingly lovely right now.
Yeah. This is why, we don't put it up on audio, because if you're not looking at the truck vista, you're not getting the full experience.
I mean, hopefully we do put it up on audio, but if you are listening to us on audio right now, the one person who sometimes writes me asks on Tumblr to do that.
And we appreciate you, person. We do. I really like this.
Sooner or later, the charm of American Truck Simulator will wear off for us.
And we'll begin to
stop commenting on it. And we'll probably go back to Europe because it's a lot easier.
Oh, man.
Hey, look, it's the same billboard you commented on.
Yeah, depressingly, it's past my bedtime, too.
Oh, man.
So, as our character on screen gets yawny, I'm also going to get yawny.
My character is not yawny.
After this, I'm going to traipse myself right into my little bed, ideally not to dream about personal disasters.
Yes. What did I dream about? I can't remember. It's useless for me to ask.
Good point. I mean, I can speculate.
Yeah.
I mean, I know something about your subconscious from all the incepting I do.
Lately, my subconscious has been taken over by the Kevin Spacey House of Cards.
Yeah, which was making you actively miserable.
Yeah, it's a miserable show.
I tried to watch.
Not artfully so, it's just miserable.
New episode of Adventure Time, very good, very good.
Very good.
Borgesian.
God, look at this. I could have taken the fucking highway. I didn't have to go on this shitty little road.
Whoa, look at that.
The GPS is not to be trusted.
That's fascinating. Should have looked at the map, bro.
Man, I did in fact look at the map.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I mean, this is a much more scenic route.
Yeah.
Maybe that's being taken into account.
I'm sure our viewers are pleased.
Yeah. You didn't even squawk when I called that Adventure Time episode Borgesian, because it totally was.
No, yeah, completely. It involved a maze whose nature was grander than initially suspected.
Yep.
That's pretty much the Borgesian thing right there.
Just about.
That's even more Borgesian than things that I usually call Borgesian are.
Mm-hmm. I watched a few more. I'm up to like episode 85 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, maybe 86, 87 at this point. It's intolerably slow right now, as it often is, but I don't think that Tumblr user No Neverhead listens to this Trucks.
Fuck.
But
I'm gonna call myself not guilty of that one. He pulled back.
Look at this
like,
vintage fucking car.
He would be so dead right now.
He would have flown
I'm
out.
probably gonna tail swipe you.
Gaboom! No, you just
little
gently nudged him.
Oh
boy.
Slow animes. Slow animes.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to put it out there. But anyway, that Tumblr user hit me into this thing, which I've then hit my roommate to, and Nick has been watching it. And I've gotten a couple other people in my life to watch it too, because it's unique and is super made for history nerds, of which I know many.
Yeah.
And offers a refreshingly bleak take on democracy and the prospects thereof. Which certainly resonates right at the moment. So there's that. We got to wait around for our benevolent dictator. The show is not pro benevolent dictatorship.
Soon they're gonna have to rename this game Trumpland Truck Simulator.
I was hoping that we could get through the full episode without saying the man's name.
He's the boss.
That's okay.
This is a perfectly reasonable place.
I think if he does become president, then there's going to be, in the way that like Reagan became like a subject of art, a punk art subject. Yeah. His little mouth is going to be such an iconic.
Where do I have to park? This place is so complicated.
You have to go in the chemical factory.
Oh my god! Called chems.
For all your chems. We have your chems.
Look at this. This is a Call of Duty multiplayer level.
It is. Maybe you could write an article about doing Counter-Strike trucks.
Someone will have to do it first.
Yeah.
Nipper, get on the case.
Counter-Strike trucks.
How would that even work? It's just like miles of open highway in Counter-Strike.
How to ruin the game. But artfully.
Well, gang,
this has been fun.
Stay tuned for next week's Lackadaisical Trucks?
Yeah.
Question mark.
It's been
whatever day this went up. Maybe is now the day these go up.
Yeah, maybe Friday.
Maybe. I mean, Maybe.
You didn't make a guarantee, and we're not going to hold you to it.
Sure.
But
maybe we'll try it. Let's see if I can park.
You've damaged your truck
In
several
the effort
times
of
in
parking,
the effort
yeah.
of parking, which is
This is a hard
unusually
one.
bad. It's a 3-star one.
Fucking look how hard this is.
So the guy who, or gal, or other who posted on a recent episode with advice on how Josh could park better.
I know that
Can you
fucking steering to the right while in reverse ultimately causes my trailer to go to the right. I've been doing this long enough to understand the basic concept, okay? It's just...
I'm just wondering if maybe you could help him a little more. Maybe some more tips and tricks would be indicated, because what was once sort of hilarious, with the added degree of actual difficulty starting to kick in, I think, my gamer instincts, and now I'm
on the right track here. I'm on the right track here.
It just feels like a affront to my masculinity whenever you...
I don't know what you're saying, because it's clear that I'm pretty good at parking. All I need to do is pull out once and then reverse straight in, and we'll be perfect.
Oh man, this will be the first episode in ages where you haven't given up if you actually pull this off, and you're not gonna.
What do you mean I'm not gonna? Look at this!
It's not gonna count.
You think it's gonna be one of those bullshit ones where it's clearly
count.
there, but
it's
it
not
doesn't
gonna count?
No, it's gonna count.
It's not gonna count.
It counted.
Oh my god. All hail the judge. Satisfactory.
I think I was on track for excellent before the things
you
happened.
Banged it.
I've leveled up. Let's get the ability to drive further.
Wait, this one was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, maybe we don't even need to drive further, but let's see what kind of routes are available to us now.
Oh my god,
A quick look behind the scenes. This is the shortest route available.
Still only 2 states.
This is the longest. We can now go from Bakersfield
to Elko.
That's only a little bit longer than the route we just did, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what?
What?
It's curtains for Winnemucca.
Oh, maybe I will live yet more.
Good night, trucks.
Good night, everybody.